See, they don't want us talking about this stuff. You see, this has
Somebody-
never happened before, folks.
Somebody-
Hispanic Patriot was sniped.
Yeah,
You all saw that in real time.
Somebody's watching us. We're being monitored, folks.
Yeah, this is why people don't want to talk about the war, but we are.
All right, let's
read a couple
listen to
of
this again.
sections of his resignation letter. President Trump, after much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. What do you think?
Okay, that right there is what irks me. The insinuation by Joe Kent that anyone can manipulate President Trump is beyond the pale, in my opinion. There's no evidence of that. And we know President Trump as a strong leader, and I'll be damned if he's going to be played like a puppet by any world leader.
Exactly. And you know what it really is, Hugo. It's he did something I didn't like, and I liked him before. Therefore, when Trump does something that I agree with, it's Trump's own opinion and he agrees with me. But when Trump does anything I don't like, it's obviously because somebody evil is puppeteering him whenever because I think that's Joe Kent's insinuation is if you disagree with me, Mr. President Trump, then it must be because you want the country to slip into chaos. And if you agree with me, it must be because you want sunshine and rainbows. I reject that paradigm. I think that's not how military strategy works. I think you would agree with that, Hugo. I think that honestly, this idea that something that I actually want to ask you about, Hugo, too, because this is something that really hurts me when I think about, a lot of my friends who did fight in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and other conflicts all across the world. This idea that their sacrifice was meaningless, that they died for Israel or some other foreign country, and that there was no real existential threat from radical and terroristic Islam before something Israel did made that happen. I just really reject this opinion because of this reason, especially. A lot of these far-right folks that say this line will often idolize the Crusades. So what is it? Either Islam is a, barbaric murdering religion that, we had to crusade against, or, oh no, Islam was totally peaceful before the Jews made it violent. I don't understand this historical argument. I think that there is fair arguments on both sides. These are not some of them. And I'm worried that Joe Kent in his resignation letter is perpetuating the bad out of these arguments. That's what I'm really worried about.
And now I just heard, I think yesterday, there's a report that Joe Kent is now under investigation, or put it this way, he has been under investigation pre-resignation for leaking of classified documents. And this is related to his affiliation with Tucker Carlson and some of the things that he has put out. So he was director of counterterrorism. He can't go leaking information about the Operation Epic Fury and other things that he's allegedly been involved in. But now Kash Patel, director of the FBI, has stated that he has been a target of an FBI investigation for leaking classified information pre-resignation. So let's not react and say, oh, this is just Trump getting back at him for no, he has been investigated, having been investigated for several weeks now, from what I understand. So did he find out that he's been being investigated and now decides to use this tactic of trying to resign and besmirch the president on his way out in an effort to cover up, if you will, or to ameliorate his involvement in leaking classified information. If he is guilty of what they're alleging at the FBI, he's in deep doo-doo.
He is, and not the kind of way where you leak some tank designs on War Thunder or something like that. This would be very deliberate. Of, hey, I want to give you information so that you stop this war of something. And I want to go on record, like, just because I get this a lot of people like, well, Nick, you kind of like move in these right and far right circles. Why are you so friendly to Israel and stuff? I want to be clear. I don't think any foreign country should have influence in the United States. I don't think that politicians should take a dime from AIPAC or any other thing like that. I think people should stand on their own 2 feet, and that's what the United States should do. But the idea that we're just going to withdraw from the world and just abandon this Western order that we fought 2 world wars. They talk about the sacrifice of generations, wars for Israel. What about the wars that were effectively what some historians have called the European civil wars? That's what some people consider the world wars. This was a building of Western civilization out of the ashes of the fall of monarchies and empires. If there wasn't some other source of gravity from the United States to bind Western civilization together, you know who it would have been? It would have been the communists. It would have been the Soviet Union. If the United States wasn't there as a counterweight, we would all be communists. We would be living in 1984 right now. So I'm grateful for the United States and what it's done in the world. Has it always been perfect? Heck no, absolutely. We've made mistakes. We're not angels. We're fallen people, and we're a young nation. We've learned a lot, and we made a lot of mistakes, and we've made up for a lot of mistakes. But to say that sacrifice of generations is meaningless, I just reject that. I cannot listen to the stories of veterans of all these wars, from the Civil War onward, Revolutionary War, all these wars to now, and believe that they believed in nothing. They believed in something, and it was called the United States of America. I hope that becomes an is again.
I would classify this resignation as a somewhat of a scorched earth exit.
Kind of is, yeah, it is.
He's trying to put the president in a bad light. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. The U.S. started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Are you kidding me? Accusations of a misinformation campaign by Israeli officials and influential American media figures who allegedly deceived Trump into believing there was an imminent threat and a swift path to victory.
Well, and this is in the same time those media outlets were talking about the idea that an Iranian missile, a drone carrier, would be parked off the coast of our cities and be able to launch tens of thousands of drones. There was a drone operator that got into a U.S. base and could have taken down a helicopter. They could have taken down all kinds of things, tanks, jeeps, or whatever they had. And instead, they flew into a building that he thought was radar or something or other, and it didn't cause too much damage. Thank God. But imagine what those drones could do on our shores. The idea, and I understand, I want to give Joe Kent a little bit of leeway here because he's not, he's fought wars. He's a veteran. Absolutely. He's a veteran of the last war. And I don't mean that negatively. It's just the facts. Drones have changed the game. And the idea of Iran sending drones to Venezuela, which isn't a problem anymore, but they can still send them to Cuba. That's why we have a semi-blockade there right now. These drones are no joke. We've already seen this in 4 years of the war in Ukraine, that drones are no joke. So I think that Joe Kent doesn't necessarily understand how Iran was an imminent threat. And that's how I see it as. It was an imminent threat because they were sending their drones to our continent.
Yeah, and the other thing that kind of sticks in my mind is this wasn't what he was thinking before. And I don't think that the president would have appointed him and had him confirmed in this position had he had this type of mentality ahead of time.
Well, it's counterterrorism, right? And that's not what we're doing anymore. We're not doing anti-insurgent warfare anymore. We're doing large-scale operations.
Yep. And so basically 2 things. Number one, the guy lost his wife in Syria in a terrorist attack, okay? So
eternal.
That can change a man. That can change a person.
It would change me. I know that.
And now this was back in 2020. So it's taken, a period of time for him to evolve, if you will, into this position. But then what troubles me is his friendship with Tucker Carlson.
It's an outlet in order to make that pain useful
Tucker
for the
can
enemy.
be a very persuasive person. Okay. He's a great communicator. He can present things in a certain light, and
we've all loved Tucker Carlson at some point. Every Republican I know has loved Tucker Carlson at one point, no matter how they feel about him now.
Yep. And Tucker, as well as Candace Owens and others, have basically gone off the deep end, in my opinion. I used to admire both of them, and now I don't. Honestly, that's my
own. You know what I think it is, Hugo? And I want to get your opinion very genuinely. I think that the level of trauma and the feeling of traumatic experience that people are worried about, not even experiencing war or things like this. Why do you think that modern generations seem to have so much anxiety that leads to paranoia, leads to, there were conspiracy theories in your days, but it wasn't this sort of coping mechanism. What do you think is causing that in the younger generations? And what do you think that people can do about it, especially young people who don't want to grow up paranoid and scared and, craven and all these things?
Well, we live in an instant information age. So that, that began late 90s, early 2000s. Social media wasn't around when I was younger. All we had were the 3 networks that we listened to and whatever we decided to read to inform ourselves. Then came the 24-hour news cycle, and it evolved into, opportunities for people to enter the internet world, if you will, and just disseminate false information. I firmly believe that there's, enemies of the state that are on the internet disseminating false information.
Provably so.
In particular to younger people, because they are the most susceptible to it. They don't have a history like I do of knowing, what took place in the 70s and 80s and even back into the 60s that I know can counteract a lot of these conspiracy theories. And, it's like anything else. I mean, anybody can come up with a theory. I mean, I could just start tomorrow and start spewing out, some nonsense.
Every nationalist candidate in Colorado right now has some messed up rumor against them right now. So, it's just par for the course, unfortunately.
So, I think it's a combination of the 24-hour news cycle, the internet, social media, and the fact that it's just too easy for someone to just get on screen and start spewing nonsense and act like they know it all as fact.
I agree. And I think that, I heard this one proposal I wanted to ask. Someone had suggested to me, it's like we just either blocked or censored, however we'd have to do it, the IPs from China, from especially the unregistered IP addresses, internet content from these sources, from Russia, China, India, Israel, Iran, and probably Brazil. Brazil is a huge hub for a lot of this disinformation a lot of people don't talk about. That's one reason, free our boy Bolsonaro. What do you think about that? The idea of stopping unregistered IP material from these kind of places?
Well, that's an uphill battle because people will cry First Amendment and freedom of speech, and and people have a right to know, blah blah blah.
I would put myself on the fence of that too.
Look what's going on with the SAVE Act. A common sense thing. The polls overwhelmingly show that nearly 90% of the American people, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and so forth, all support the SAVE Act because they know that it's common sense that we have control of our own elections. But who opposes it? Those that want to cheat, in my opinion, because they know that if we ever get to the point like some of these third world countries that have national voter IDs, the opportunity for them to cheat goes way, way down, if not completely out.
Stealing and everywhere else.
Exactly. So for some of these Democrats that are up on the hill now, Jeffries and Schumer, and crying about, oh, this isn't a voter ID, this is a voter suppression act. Oh, no Jim Crow 2.0. You know, I mean, come on, man. And you look at some of the videos of these same idiots that are on video 10, 20 years ago saying that we should have voter ID, and now they're completely the opposite. Why? Because they're controlled by Marxists, my friend. This is
that's why we're becoming a third world country. Like, you look at every communist country left on earth: Nicaragua, Venezuela, Cuba, China. If you want to put half of Russia in that category, but even a lot of India. People don't think of India as a communist country. It was a socialist-led country for a lot of its history. It has had very deep ties to the Soviet Union. So, you know, this idea that we're not still fighting communism is kind of a little silly. We are fighting this ideology still. But now things are morphing into a very disgusting form, not just Marxism, but Satanism and Islamism. It's like every disgusting thing that they could cover themselves with, they do.
The commies are alive and well in this country, and people who don't believe that are just naive or just plain stupid.
That makes me want to ask you a question, Hugo, about Hispanics in America. How do you think Hispanics in America can stand up against this communist, satanic, heathenry we've got to deal with?
Well, just look at the news. We liberate Venezuela. The Venezuelans are everywhere, all over the world, celebrating. We liberate Iran. The Iranians are celebrating all over the world. And who is standing in opposition? The Democrats in this country. Iranians and Venezuelans are more pro-America today than the Democrats are.
Man, I don't think Democrats like brown people, Hugo.
Let that sink in.
That's, of course, is a joke, folks.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are you going to say? You know, but yeah, it's. Did you see the poll? They showed it yesterday or the day before on CNN. They did a poll. MAGA support for the president in relation to the action in Iran. And you know what they had on their screen? 100% of MAGA supports the president on this particular issue. And yet you've got leftist Democrats who are in the tank politically, less than 17% approval rate nationally, and they know that their days are numbered because this midterms is not going to be the same as previous midterms. They've already made their bed and they're going to lie in it because they've got the AOCs, the Jeffries, the Schumers, the Ilhan Omars, all of these people are in the tank. And you saw what happened to, what's her name, in Texas?
Forgettable.
Huh? Forgettable, no. Yeah, the loudmouth congresswoman who lost to a more radical Democrat in Texas, of all places.
I think we're seeing that everywhere, but that's why I think that the powers that be have decided that to
Jasmine Crockett.
There you go, Crockett, you know. And that's the thing is that I think the establishment's figured out that we can't beat the Republicans, especially the true grassroots Republicans. So I think what you're going to see in the future and right now is support for weak Republicans, for moderate Republicans, the kind of people supported by peak Republicans and these kind of, moderate to left-leaning organizations. I think you're going to see a lot of this, and you're going to see people pit against each other. It's going to be very nasty, and I think we just got to rise above it. We got to rise above it. And that's why if you want to rise with us, make sure you subscribe and like everything from Hispanic Patriot Podcast.
Absolutely.
We'll always give you the truth. 100%.
We need you to subscribe. We need you to like our videos so that others can see it in the algorithm. We are going to be on top of all of this breaking news and developing information here over the next several weeks. We've got state party politics. We've got national party politics. And, for me and the Hispanic Patriot Podcast, we stand 100% behind the president until he proves otherwise. He has always shown that he is one step ahead or two steps ahead of everybody that's criticizing him. So until I see clear-cut, defining evidence, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. And I really doubt that I would ever see such information, because that's not who President Trump is. President Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He's gotten everybody on board. He's got Rubio. He's got Pete Hegseth. He's got multiple senators and representatives, and it's full steam ahead. And we've got the allies. Oh, and the other thing that's in danger now is NATO, because there's rumors now that Trump may just be getting ready to pull the plug on NATO. And if the U.S. pulls out of NATO, NATO is no more, because they cannot sustain NATO without the United States.
That's why I'm very happy to report that we are actually seeing already reinforcements of British and German and all kinds of people to Cyprus Air Base, and the French aircraft carrier Jean de Gaulle being sent to the coast of the Mediterranean.
Well,
so
they better.
Yeah, they better, exactly.
They better, because Trump isn't messing around. He's fed up with these weak European leaders who don't want to step up, and they don't want to contribute to their own defense. And, if it was up to me, I mean, if the president decided to pull the plug on NATO, I'd be okay with it. Because
I definitely would feel bad for our NATO rounds. I'd wonder what we would call them after that. But no, one thing I do want to say, folks, is that we will be with you throughout all of World War III. We appreciate you joining us for World War III, and that you chose to spend your time before utter demise or victory across the world, depending, with yours truly and Hugo.
I dissent for the use of the word war. We are not in a war. This is an action an operation that is as appropriately called Epic Fury.
Then I guess we'll have to call it the interbellum years. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, welcome to the Roaring 20s, folks. Just a couple of years early or late, depending on how you measure this.
I'm praying for our servicemen and women around the world, and we want Lord to support and protect them, and hopefully we don't lose any more lives. But the president is getting ready to drop the other foot on Iran if they don't just straighten up here real quick.
Yeah,
so hopefully
we'll bring you all the updates for that.
Yeah, hopefully the Iranian people will be able to take control of their country, and we can just be happy about the new regime, or actually new government, because it won't be a regime anymore.
The post-regime.
The post-regime government. And the people are ready, and I think we're going to support them in financial and also weaponry.
Yeah, but don't be surprised if things don't happen right away. I mean, as soon as this conflict stops, then we can think about people going back to the street. Nobody is in the streets right now protesting in the middle of bombs. Let's just be very clear about that.
Exactly. So anyway, it looks like we're up against the clock. We definitely apologize for the technical issues on this episode. Priscilla and John Teagan as our guests, one running for a state representative seat and one running for the mayor of Colorado Springs.
And yours truly continuing to run for Senate District 11. We will see you Saturday, folks, and bring you all the updates and tell you all about what this campaign was all about. All about.
Thank you. And God bless you. God bless America. And God bless President Trump. Thank you.
God bless you guys.